Ladies and gentlemen, I am super excited to check out this new album. Black Veil Brides has just released the newest, upcoming, latest album, and I'm super excited for this one, man. I'm really super excited to check this one out for you guys because it has been a long time coming for these guys, actually. Because, like I said, all these new singles that have been coming out have just been hitting harder. Each single just be getting more and more intense. It seems like, from back to back, release after release, it just seems like they're entering this new heavy metal, this new like darker age of Black Veil Brides, and I'm here for it, man. I am here for it, especially on the tone side of things, the aggression. Andy's doing a lot more screams, a lot more like, intensity style vocals, intense vocals with the way he's like portraying some of the verses, some of the lines he's screaming out, and I like that, man. I like that, man. He never really done that before, I would say, because like I said, it's been a long time since I've gotten back into these guys. Let me just say, because it's been probably over a decade since I last checked these guys out. But like on my own time, I would say, because I just started coming back to them when I started doing this channel, when they started doing those like new releases and stuff like that. I didn't forget about them. I knew they were still there. They just weren't really my style of metal at the time. They weren't really as like what I was looking for. They were good, like I said, don't get me wrong, but they just weren't like, I felt like they had this like arena rock kind of like anthem sort of chanty style sound to them, and I was kind of like not really feeling it. But ever since they changed this new intense tone, this new heaviness route they're going in, I'm all in. I'm definitely all in. I'm super excited to check these guys out. But let me just say a little bit of backstory on how I came across these guys for you guys. But like I said, I came when I first was introduced to this band. I was probably when I first heard them was like back when I in like when I used to playing like a lot of games. I used to play a lot of like different style of games. That used to got me into like a lot of metal bands when they used to have metal songs in the game, like radio stations. Similar to like GTA and stuff like that. But I first came across these guys, believe it or not, back in Saints Row 3. They actually had a lot of tracks on there actually that I liked, from back in the day. And then like they had this, metal, this rock sort of station on there, and they had one of their tracks on there. I believe it was called Perfect Weapon. I think it was one of the songs, and I gravitated towards that. I'm like, oh, these guys actually pretty slap. So I gravitated to more towards these guys amongst other bands, and I believe Miss May I was on there too as well, which got me into them as well, also from that game. But like I said, ever since I heard that track, I dived into them. I believe it was from their first debut album from back in the day. At the time, when the game came out, that they were probably a couple albums in, so I checked them out, man. I believe Wretched and Divine was like the most released one that came out, or it was the next anticipated album coming out since that game. But I checked them out. And then Wretched and Divine, when that dropped, it came out. That was probably like my favorite album to go back and listen to repeatedly, at least from them. I did check out like some other stuff, from back in from other albums since then. But I don't know, just that album I just gravitated towards to the most. But then ever since then, I kind of dropped off. I didn't really, go back to them. After the next album release, I didn't really go check them out. After I listened to that album, I should have went back and and checked out them other their albums after that. I don't know why I didn't do it, but I don't know. I just kind of fell off with the sound. I guess I just felt like this is what they do. I'm like, there's nothing really more to that. But I'm gonna have to go back and check out these guys' previous albums besides this one, because there might be some heavy hitting stuff that I maybe have missed. Besides this new album and new stuff we've checked out already. So like I said, man, I'm super excited for this one. So there is a lot of tracks on this one that we have, listened to already. So be, we're warning for that. So there has been a lot of singles they released for this upcoming album. This is a pretty stacked album, I would say. We got 14 tracks. That's a lot. That's a hefty album, I would say. That's pretty much, longer than the previous, albums we've reacted to already on this channel. So that's a pretty stacked album. Andy has been busy in the studio. These guys have been busy, I would say. I don't know how long they've been working on this album, I would say. So probably like a couple years, I would say. So now I'm pretty excited, man. A lot of work's probably going into this one, a lot of dedication I could already see on all these tracks. They are doing a new sound. They are trying something new. They are doing something different, I would say, for the band as a whole. I would say, like I said, I don't know if they've done this sort of tone, this sort of style before, but it's definitely new to me. So I'm definitely excited to check this one out. So the first one here is only about like 2 minutes, so it's probably like an introduction. It's probably like a, like an instrumental piece, I would say, that a lot of these like metal bands like to do to set the tone for the record, set the tone, to get the crowd amped up, get the listeners amped up to get ready for this album. So let's get right into it, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get it. This is the first track off the new Black Veil Brides record. This is the first track off the new Black Veil Brides record, Invocation to the Muse. Let me know if the music's too loud too, as I can turn it down a little bit. Like gothic intro. Really sets that dark mood. Seems like we're going to church. Is Andy gonna preach to us?
In my darkest moments, I know they never believed.
Guess so.
You can see it in their eyes, the body language, the silence. I wonder if you feel that too. So often in life we find ourselves swallowing an insult. It burns. The fire of hatred and agony swelling inside. You can attempt to keep it down, but you know the truth. You won't forgive. You shouldn't forgive. All that power you can possess from vengeance, from knowing they are wrong.
From the heart.
Grasp it. Never let it go.
Let's go, Andy. Let that
never
aggression
break,
out.
Never bend, never kneel. Every doubt, every slight, every time they turn away, keep it. Let it fester. Let it shape you.
Let's get it. I'm in. I'm already in.
Carve your name so deep in this world that they will never escape it. No redemption. No forgiveness.
Definitely a new age.
Vindicate.
Definitely a new side of Andy. Let's go. I'm already in. I'm hyped. This is like, so judging by that alone, I guess this whole album is like based on like anger, based on aggression, I would say. At least that's what he was saying, like in that little sermon, that little, preaching, bit we were getting there. But so I don't know if that's the whole, tone of the record, but there's a lot of anger, aggression. There's a lot of built up, pent up energy, I would say. So I don't know if my boy Andy's going through some stuff. I don't know if he just wants to, to express, this new, kind of sound through that sort of new energy that he's been talking about. So I don't know, I'm very interested, but let's get it, ladies and gentlemen. So this is technically the first track off the new record, the title track rather, Vindicate. Now we've already reacted to this one. This one is, I believe, the second or like third single that they released one. So I do know this one. This one has definitely been stuck in my head a lot. I would say it's very catchy. It's very simple, but it still hits hard. It still has that, sets that tone, sets that anger, sets that, new age tone that these guys are going for. So let's get it, ladies and gentlemen. Says, I don't know the whole video side of things. I have no idea what's going on. I was, kind of scared to, put this up on YouTube or like show this on the video, because the video can be kind of like very graphic, I would say. So it's very, I don't know how they got permission to post this thing. So I don't know about the whole idea of the story behind that, but definitely, startling or very, jarring if you haven't seen the video before. But fair warning. But either way, let's get into it. This is Black Veil Brides' first release track off the record, Vindicate.
I feel the rage begin, boiling in my blood with all my pride and sin. Vindication always starts with
Go boys! Set that record tone!
They say that we are born believing. Take your soul to steal you. I can feel my anger.
Love that riff.
Driving me. I can hear your screams. I feel lost and loud. Everything you say, another sacred vow. Never let it go until you drown. I know I'll never let it die.
Let's get it.
The memories burn through. And I'll fucking vindicate.
Still got those catchy choruses, bro. Woo! Get those screams up there.
I'm haunted by the ghosts of my whole life. Won't let 'em die. I'm feeling lost and loud. Everything you say, another
Preach it, Andy.
sacred vow.
Tell us.
Never let it go until you drown. I know I'll never let it die. All of the memories burn through. And I'll fucking vindicate my life and bury what's left of you.
Let's go, Andy. Give us those new tones. Give us those new deep breakdowns.
Misery, the dark consuming me. Just
Build it up.
another beast. I cannot sleep.
Woo-hoo! Woo-hoo! Get that solo piece in.
I know I'll never let it die. All of the memories burn through.
Let's get it.
I'll fucking vindicate my life and bury what's left of you.
So meaty.
Lost and loud. Everything you say, another sacred vow. Never let it go until you drown.
Oh yeah, see, it's such a short one, but it's such a short and sweet. You know, just it doesn't overstay its welcome. You know, it just lets out all the aggression, lets out all this new tone, lets out all this new energy. You know, it's just in a short little compact, you know, little treat, man. I like that. I like that, man. You know, they could argue it could go a little bit longer, but you know, it is what it is. But I like that, man. I like that. Very good. I like that they put the title track on the forefront, you know. I like that they show what the title track is about, you know. They don't like hide it away, you know, buried amongst all the other tracks that a lot of bands tend to do. They tend to like hide the title track for some reason. Like, I don't know why, but I feel like the title track should be the first one. It should be like, you know, and closer to the front of the album, if that makes sense. Because you want to name, if you want to name the track after an album, you want to, you know, push it forward. You want to name the first one. You got to show, you know, what the whole album's about, if that makes sense. You know, because, you know, I don't know why bands like to hide, you know, the title track so far down in the album, but you know, I don't know. That's just me. It is what it is. But solid track, man. Like I said, very catchy on the chorus side of things, very deep on the tone side of things, very old school doomy inspired, I would say, as well. Very meaty on the tones as well. I like that first beginning, you know, jumpy melodic riff though. Like, I don't know what they're playing, I don't know what notes they're doing, but it just sounds so good, man. So on the deep on the low end, but you could still hear those jumpy notes, you know, riffing around in there on the you know, top string. But I like that, man. Definitely like that sort of play style. Very, you know, on the deep side of Chug stuff, like I said, but I'm very catchy on the chorus side of things. My man Andy always does his catchy choruses. He always has those big, you know, open, those choir, you know, esque inspired, you know, choruses, those anthem inspired choruses, I would say. So, you know, I would say it kind of throws off the tone a little bit, I would say, but just because the tone is so heavy, and then the chorus just comes out, you know, just sounds all happy, I would say. But either way, it is a catchy song nonetheless. It will get stuck in your head, but very deep and very different, I would say. If you never really came across these guys before, like me, after been so many years, it's a very interesting refresh. It's a very, you know, different sound, I would say, compared to what I'm normally used to sounding them from them. But you know, I like it, man. I definitely like it. Like I said, we've reacted to a lot of these ones already, so I can just I'm seeing hopefully the new ones we see, you know, stick to that energy, stick to that grit. You know, they keep that tone of the album, I would say. But we're just gonna have to wait and see, ladies and gentlemen. But yeah, very solid first track, title track of the album. No complaints here, I would say. But like I said, I don't know about the video side of things. You know, I don't know how they got permission to post that sort of thing. But either way, it's kind of I don't want to get too much into it. But I would say hopefully I don't get flagged for putting on this live streaming this. But